Greetings historians, welcome to Lore of the Dragon. Today we're going to visit the elements of the Legend of Spyro. This time, the element of poison. We will look into the lore and appearances of this deadly power. Poison appears in a few places throughout Spyro's history, of course mainly during the events of the Legend of Spyro, but also in the Spyro Reignited Trilogy's art book. The green element seen in the fight against Ripto, at least here, is referenced to be poison, apparently created by the professor and infused into the orbs found in Avalar. This allowed Spyro to harness this power and let out balls of green energy. Whether or not this is referred to as the poison element in-universe is not confirmed, but it's, in my opinion, worth mentioning. That being said, its main appearance is in Dawn of the Dragon, being an element utilized by Cinder against the Dark Army and the Dark Master himself. It takes a bright green appearance, seemingly made of liquid as one might expect, and exhaled from within and turned into various elemental attacks. As one also might suspect, poison in dragons isn't really a unique concept to Spyro. In fact, all throughout mythology, dragons and dragon-like myths have had some form of poison attributed to them. Whether or not this was the inspiration for the poison element as it is, I'm not entirely sure, but let's take a look at accounts to see if there's any correlation. Most of what I've found really comes from myths of European origin, most likely derived from the idea that snakes carried their own venom. As for some dragons with venom attributed to it, we can look to the dragon fought by Beowulf in the ancient Anglo-Saxon poem, and Fafnir, a shape-shifting dwarf, later dragon in Norse mythology, both guarding a treasure and the latter twisted and filled with greed by a ring. Inspiration from both can be seen in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. But the dragon from Beowulf and Fafnir were not the only dragon-like creatures to have venom or poison. For that, we look to wyverns. Seen as two-winged, two-legged creatures according to the Oxford English Dictionary, wyverns were said to have a pointed tail with a venomous stinger to boot. Also, while not called a wyvern and predating the existence of the word, Wadjet from Egypt also does fit this definition, but didn't have venom. As history progressed though, one might think that they were looked down upon. However, wyverns became a symbol of heraldry, of family trees and even kingdoms throughout the British Isles, first seen in the 1312 Great Roll. You can actually find this apparently in a catalogue of English medieval rolls of arms, if you feel so interested as to look more into this. The same is for dragons, which today even are on flags like the one belonging to Wales, and in Asia where they're seen more as deities, they are on flags like Bhutan's. Maybe one day we can cover just this, but let's get back to Spyro. In terms of what the poison element is in the Legend of Spyro, it is an element that causes damage over time, based on the darker magics of that world. Given we haven't seen much else other than its effects, like mentioned earlier, we can only assume that it is an element that takes on a liquid form, but can be used throughout the body as we see in Cinder's Scorpion Strike, in where she uses poison on her tail to eliminate her foes. Though probably more commonly it is used as venom, coming out as globs of green toxic energy and slowly eating away at any caught near it. As for who has used it, well, obviously Cinder. It's implied Malefor could have, given he is a purple dragon and Cinder's own powers were that of Malefor's once she was imbued with them, but we never do see him use it though. So if he ever did, we can't ever really tell, as there isn't much lore regarding this element in the games, not even names like on the elemental wheel. We have absolutely no way of knowing who could have used it, any major history for it, or its origin, simply that it exists. There is also some less canon lore, since it's once again from Jared Pullen, someone who worked on The Legend of Spyro, but made his headcanon public after the series ended. Take these as sort of fun tidbits from a developer rather than actual canon. According to his headcanon, there are poison dragons along with dragons of shadow and fear, though of course we don't see them in the games or anywhere else. What exactly they look like, if they have guardians or notable users like fire, earth, and so on, is never stated. As well, poison, fear, and shadow, according to the headcanon, were born from a dark entity within the world of the Legend of Spyro. Some fun ideas to speculate about. I do wonder if anyone developing future Spyro titles will bring poison back in some form, officially. Of course, we have the name in the art book, but nothing in the games. For that, I imagine we will just have to wait and see. A big thank you to my Patreons, Episode Blue, ConquerFan91, Eric Manuel, Jabby Kiasu Shin, Laika312, Lazy Nightmare Spyro, and Shaggy. I'll see you all the next time we talk. Stay safe, historians.